Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Horse Center. Myself, the incredible supercalifragilistic Sean, and then of course we have on tonight Jockey Jose Gomez. Jose, how are you this evening?
I'm good, guys. Thank you for having me.
Oh no, thanks for coming on. We greatly appreciate it. Just real quick, you just started riding like at the end of 2021, so now you're in 2022. And let's see, what is it? The number is close to 7 million in your first year. What is going on?
Fortunate enough to have the opportunity to start my career in New York and parks. I I go back and forth. So I just ride a lot, ride every day. It adds up. I'm grateful.
So let me ask you a question. The beginning of the year, what kind of car were you driving at the end of last year? And what kind of car are you driving now? Be honest.
Honestly, I still have the same truck I had. I still have the same truck I had since like 2 years ago. I haven't bought
What
anything.
car? What car are you eyeing up then?
Honestly, I'm just not really buying anything crazy yet.
Well, with the way gas prices are, you might have to switch from a truck to something else for sure.
Yeah.
So you grew up. Sorry, we couldn't hear you there. Go ahead.
No, yeah, but I like my truck. Yeah.
Hmm. So you grew up in Michigan. Mom and dad were in the business. Well, you went between Florida and Kentucky, right? So you're Michigan native. Tell us a little bit about your youth.
Well, yeah, I was just born in Michigan. I didn't grow up in Michigan at all. I was just born there. My family, my parents, it was just my mom and my dad. They they were working there, and they moved to Kentucky for a bit. That's when my younger sister was born, and they were just moving all around, and eventually ended up in Pennsylvania, where I that's where I really grew up from like my younger years till like when I was 17. I like moved to Florida, Ocala, Florida, and yeah, I never really grew up in Michigan. I just was born there, and I grew up really in Pennsylvania.
So you come from a family where your mom and dad were working on the backside, right, with horses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So tell us about your experience as a young kid. Like, at what point did you look at the horses and say, "That's what I'm going to do"?
Just growing up, and I just always kind of knew I was gonna be a part of it. And honestly, since I was young, I always wanted to just be a jockey. So just my father, he was an exercise rider, and he rode like a couple races, like really like I don't even know what the track was. It's just like something like really like small, and I just feel like I just got it in me.
Hmm. So then Angel Cordero, he's your agent, right? So how did that relationship get started and develop?
We It was really all because of Kelly Breen. Kelly Breen, the trainer. He I was working for him in Monmouth Park, and I was going from Monmouth Park to Florida, and I was working with him, and I was just galloping, and I would breeze a lot of horses from him. And I guess he just seen something. I don't know. He wanted to just help me out because he knew I wanted to ride, and he gave me my opportunity. He put me on a few in in Monmouth, like at the beginning of what this year or last year, 2021, in June. I only was riding like one a month, like up until the end of the year, and that's when I started picking up.
Hmm.
But really, um, he was just seeing me, helping me, and eventually, when I got to a point where Monmouth had ended of last year, he said, "You want to go up to New York for the winter? I have Angel Cordero for you as an agent." And I said, "Okay, let's go." Of course. What am I going to say no? And I just went up there, and that's how I started going.
So I also read that he works with you on a regular basis on the Equisizer and
Yeah.
other ways to help you improve your game. When you do something wrong, like how does that conversation go? Is he kind of soft handed, or is he like, "Yo, man, you got to get this right"?
Yeah. Of course. He knows that I'm learning. So he not too like too blunt or like not blunt. Too hard. He knows that I'm learning, but he does tell me like what to do then, how, work on it,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they say sometimes people who are superstars like Michael Jordan have a hard time coaching. So obviously that's not the case there. And I expect more good stuff to come from you. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, so let's talk about, since we always ask people how their first win was and stuff, and we don't have to go that far back. We go back last year. Talk about that first win and what that felt like.
Yeah, it was October 28th last year. I was on. That was the first horse Kelly put me on in New York, and it was a horse I had been galloping from when it was from last year. The year before 2020, I was galloping the horse, and then I was galloping him down in Palmettos and back up, and it was a horse, Top Gun Tommy, and I really liked that horse, and the opportunity came up. My man John and I guess they talked, and they said it was a good opportunity for me, and he asked the owners and all that, and yeah, they gave me the opportunity. It was an off the grass race in Belmont. It was off the grass, and I was the heavy favorite. Just kind of went, and it was a nice first one, easy, and
How
it
was
was a
that
good,
treatment? Was the treatment when you got back exactly like you thought it would be?
yeah, but the thing is that I was like so quiet, like. It was literally, I literally kind of came like out of nowhere, it was weird, like nobody, I was only in New York in Belmont for like not even a month, and I got this opportunity, and nobody really didn't know me, like it was somewhat, because I got the water and I got some baby powder on me, but it wasn't anything like super crazy like some other guys get it.
Who were, besides your mom and dad, obviously, that worked the backside and your dad did a little bit, who were the other jockeys that you really looked up to?
Well, growing up, I just see like the Ortiz brothers, of course, and really back when I was young, my uncle, he would tell me a lot about like older riders, like who can I think of, like Mark Gidry, like Louisiana guys, because he was down over there, so I'd look like Mark Gidry, like Calvin Burrell, guys like that. As I got older, I'd look at more like newer riders, Ortiz brothers, and Gaffleon, like just like the whole New York, guys.
Did you ever have that like starstruck moment when you first met some of those guys? Like you just kind of stared and was like, I can't believe I'm here.
I kind of wanted to, but like I gotta try to act like I belong. I wanna act cool. I was just trying to play it off. Because I'm gonna be there. All the time. And I was inside and I was feeling super excited, but I couldn't really be too like super excited. Because I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I felt a little funny, going up to him all the time, but it was definitely I felt it inside, and like, man, these are guys I grew up watching, and I'm like riding right next to them, doing everything next to these guys. It was crazy.
In another interview I saw, a friend of the show you actually mentioned was Jorge Vargas Jr. as well. Looking up to him.
Yeah, Jorge Vargas, yeah, I like him too. Yeah, he's a good rider. Uh, just guys like that, even guys like smaller guys, maybe from like in Penn National, I grew up watching, like maybe even Willie Ortero and guys like that. I just take a lot, and of course, Angel Cordero and Lafitte and Kai. Those are two like the guys, like the guys, those two, and other older guys too. Just a bunch, I just try to soak them all, like just learn, watch everything, see, just learn from everybody.
Mm-hmm. So you
Love
spent the summer in Saratoga,
watching.
which is a big meet. We were out there actually, and you and I got COVID at Saratoga about the same time, which is just something we have in common, I guess. But tell us about the summer at Saratoga. What did you think about that?
It was, I mean, it's Saratoga. What can I say? I mean, I'm grateful to have had just the opportunity of riding there, and then nonetheless win 11 races. I was very grateful, for that. And we would have been 13, but COVID, But I'm so grateful, just being a ride and just super historic meet, around the biggest trainers, the best horses. It's just something I can't even really explain, because it's my first year. Just and I've never been to Saratoga before this year. I rode, so it was definitely a crazy feeling.
What did you think about that? Like at Saratoga, like that whole like picnicky party in atmosphere, like where the jockeys come out. What kind of like funny things do people say to you? Did anybody ever say anything to you that just made you just completely crack up?
I mean, it's just it's a bunch of people, alcohol, just fun.
Uh-huh.
It's always a random person here and there that might say something funny, but the security guards, they walk with you, so they can't really do much. They got the fences, and
Mm-hmm.
so nobody tries to really crazy, but the people just always asking for photos and stuff like that.
I think
Well,
Rich
one
brought.
thing I was glad about is that we met a lot of people there. One hand I didn't shake was yours when we were there. So I was like, when I got the COVID, I'm like, I'm glad I know I didn't give it to him.
Yeah, right now, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Is I think Rich brought you COVID, and I brought you good luck because the one race Rich was saying that your horse might win at 11-1 on turf. There was a late scratch, and I said that's Jose Gomez. I've been playing him a lot, but he's really starting to struggle at Saratoga, or he's really struggling at Saratoga. You won that race, and you started really putting them together after that.
Yeah, I mean, of course it's tough, but you kind of have to try to adapt, and you have to kind of a sink or swim situation, like you got to learn quick, and it's just try to do the best of which we had, what I had, I mean, it's tough, but I hung in there.
Indeed. So Eli Hess says Saratoga is supposed to be a nice track. It is a nice track. It's kind of like reminds me like when you watch the movies like Secretariat or something, like those black and white movies where the horses are running and there's a lot of people dressed well. It's not like at other tracks where people are, sweatshirts and hoodies. There's a lot of very nice dressed people there. It's kind of a throwback to that. But outside of Saratoga, what would be another dream track, as Eli says, that you would like to ride at?
I mean, of course, Saratoga was definitely at the top. That's I feel like one of the biggest meets, in the country, and definitely another one would be to be able to ride maybe like in Kentucky for sure, like Keeneland, Churchill, somewhere nice like that, or yeah, definitely Keeneland or Churchill would be another one.
Well, since you are young and you don't have a lot of experience in a lot of different places, so you got to learn quickly on the fly. So when you go to a new track, like what's your process to kind of learn so you can be prepared right away? Is that where Angel comes in, or you do your own homework? How does that work?
Yeah, a lot. I have to do it for myself. I do it every day. Type thing. I definitely ask for help, but I mean, you just kind of have to watch how like really other like people ride. How the other riders ride, and you kind of adapt to that style.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause people don't ride the same way everywhere, and you just try to adapt to that type of riding, and
So, like when you go to a new track, let's say you were to go to Keeneland, would you pay attention to like how Luis Saez rides, or maybe how Tyler Gaffalione rides because they're competing for the title there, and then when you're in New York, maybe look at Saez and Irad. Is that kind of how you break it down?
yeah, for sure. So you just follow specific guys because like you said, I rode with those guys, so I try to watch how they are. So I definitely was watching how they work because I was around them, so I try to adapt to that style, or at least do what I can.
Mm-hmm. I understand because Sean always has to adapt to me, so we know how that goes, right, Sean?
Yeah. So Jose, you've been going back between the New York tracks and parks.
Yeah,
Do you ride any different with parks compared to the
yeah,
NYRA tracks?
yeah, definitely. There's a lot of differences, riding between here and there. That I mean, everything is just how like the track plays. Because Parks' track is different than New York's track.
So when you're at parks, do you want a speed horse? Do you want a what are the differences? So like for handicappers, the folks who are putting their money on you, or just at the track in general, what do you feel works better at parks, and what do you feel works better at the New York tracks?
I mean, I feel like being in parks, it's good, to ride parks horses. People horses that train at parks, because it's kind of tough for a lot of horses that kind of come out of town, to adapt to that type of track. I think, and it's speed is good here, yeah, like some, it definitely, it's nice, riding a nice speed horse over at parks. And then in New York, it's more people are, I guess, the style of riding is a lot like tighter, a lot more, cleaner, and what can I say? I don't know, just the style, the type of horses, that are in New York and parks are just different. So you just kind of ride with what you got. If you ride, like the parks horses, sometimes you got more speed, and sometimes in New York it's the same thing, but like sometimes people over there might ride with more patience.
Mm-hmm.
So what does your weekly schedule look like? Do you come out to parks like Sunday night, or do you wait till Monday morning? How does that?
I wait till I come in parks Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but I'm in New York the rest of the days. I'm in New York. I go into work in New York in the morning, and then I just go from there to parks, and I just stay from parks till Tuesday, Wednesday, and head back to New York on Thursday, and do the whole thing again.
So no off days for Jose Gomez at all.
Not right now, no. I mean, I had an off day, Aqueduct, the opening weekend. No racing Thursday, so it was nice to have a day off then.
So when you have a day off, what do you do? Do you just kind of like sleep for 12 hours? What do you do?
I mean, just depends, because if I ride the next day, I have to see like how much I gotta do, how much I gotta weigh, So I don't, I typically like to do something. I don't want to just lay around all day, but it definitely, it is tough, riding every day and traveling a lot. So I am kind of tired, but I just sleep in night. Try not to overdo it, but just maybe go for a run, maybe go somewhere to eat nice. And just do nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What I lost my train of thought.
So you mentioned that you started with Aqueduct. Now the weather's starting to change. So tell us about like winter riding. How do you approach winter riding? Maybe different than summer riding. Do you say, man, I got to put a lot of extra clothes on, so I got to lose a few extra pounds? I mean, what do you do?
Oh yeah, I mean, just gotta wear more clothes. Yeah, stay warm. I mean, there's not much to do in the morning, but then that's when you kind of start going for the runs on the treadmills, and just watch what you eat. Really, yeah, it definitely gets a little tougher in the winter, and for weight wise, and the horses too. Everybody, goes away to the
Mm-hmm.
to the warmer weather, and the type of horses that are there in the winter aren't necessarily the same. They like ride a little bit different.
Yeah, how about the track itself when it's like really cold versus is the track play faster when it's really cold? Does it play slower?
Yeah, it gets pretty slow up there. And sometimes if you pay attention, sometimes the times the horses bring up, and not necessarily like I said, the winter racing is the best time in New York, but it's relatively slow in the winter time. But there's some days where they can speed up, where it's not super.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the wind's a big factor up there. It gets really windy up there, so you can't always add and it gets real cold, so they can't always add too much water to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it does get a little bit. It gets heavier.
When do you look at your mounts, and how do you study to get ready for the races?
I mean, I just look at the overnights normally when the day eventually come out, and maybe just look some horses up a little bit. And I just kind of If not, I just wait till like maybe the day before where I can see um I see like the program. I just kind of look over it maybe the night before, the day before. I try not to overdo it. You think I just kind of study them. Each race I take each race as it goes. I just look at one horse, maybe, and I look at the horses, just as general, like, I just look at them a little bit, and then the day of the race, I'm in the room. I just, I take each race as it goes, watch some replays before a little bit, and you see how the horse kind of runs, and just study the other horses in the race, and sometimes even the day before, like I said, I might, or no, actually the morning of, too, I might be in the morning where, Angel might say, oh, he might tell me, oh, maybe want to this and that, and this race, right this way, like that, stuff like that.
So if Angel were to come to you and say, okay, elbow, or do you elbow him and say, hey, man, I want to go to that championship meet down in Gulfstream too?
Nah, I mean, I feel like I do good here in the winter. I mean, I started here. I mean, I don't really mind the winter too much. I mean, I was here last winter. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't as bad as I thought, honestly.
You're just glad some of the top notch jockeys leave, right?
Yeah, I do. I get more opportunities. Try to win some more races.
Do you prefer the dirt or the turf?
I mean, I like a nice. Man, it's tough because I started like the dirt. I have kind of. It just depends on the horse, Some turf horses will really, the ones you how to really ride and you just feel great. That's a real good feeling, and just horse on the dirt too. That just how to like it's tough, But maybe honestly, yeah, I started on the dirt, and I'm still kind of getting used to the turf. I like the dirt, honestly, but yeah, I have to come down. I'd say dirt, honestly.
And I always get 50-50 on this. How much are you aware of the odds of the horse, especially like when they're going in the gate?
I mean, it's something I try not to think too much about, because sometimes on the long shot horse, you might sometimes want to tend to think like that. But you just try to give every horse a chance, you see what they got, and just try to give them the best shit, but try not to really think too much about the odds. At least you might, no matter what, even if you hope, you can really hope by luck. They have the TVs everywhere. I mean, I just study the horse. If I have the horse, if I know I got the horse, then I got the horse, and if I don't. I mean, I just don't think too much about it.
Does it feel better though when you're on like a 30-1 than a 2-5 and you win?
It feels crazy good when you're like on a 30-1 shot and it runs like a 2-1. Like a crazy good horse. Like whoa, like how is this horse 30-1? It ran like this, and it's like it's definitely a crazier feeling being a super long shot winning than like an even money favorite, which is definitely a good feeling, but them long shots, it's a different feeling for sure.
Well, the check doesn't change for you, right?
Yeah.
I said the check doesn't change for you if you're on a 2-5 or a 30-1.
Yeah, right. No.
Just for the bettors. Sorry, Sean. I'm always interrupting you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Do you feel that in the post parade, or do horses just generally surprise you sometimes too, and just outrun how they even feel?
Sometimes, yeah. It just kind of. I mean, you try to, you warm them up. It depends. You want to take them. You cut them loose from the point, give them a nice warm up. Gallop them, see how they feel. I mean, sometimes, yeah, they might be. Honestly, some. I don't know if you guys like. Sometimes horses like they might be a little like heavier warming up, and then they just like they get in the gates and they break, and they're really in motion, in stride, and then, they feel like a different horse, for sure. It's crazy sometimes like that, they feels like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So in Aqueduct, besides the winter, we've been told by other jockeys that the fans there are the absolute craziest at Aqueduct. that it's a little bit rowdier there. Do you find that to be the case at Aqueduct too?
I mean, yeah, there's like rowdy in what ways though?
Just like more boisterous, they're a little more chatty, a little maybe talk a little more smack to the jockeys
Little
than
bit.
they might do
Oh
at
yeah,
other
like,
tracks.
yeah, like the people in the
Yeah,
stands.
the fans.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Bleacher creatures.
of course, there's people that, oof, yeah.
So they're a little crazier at Aqueduct. Do you ever engage back with them, or do you just kind of let it go?
Ignore that. I try to ignore that stuff. You can't give it no attention. Just,
What's like the craziest thing anybody's ever said to you at New York? That's not like off color or anything like that. Just something that you were like, you know what, that was actually kind of funny.
like I said, man, I try to ignore that stuff, man. Like I really don't try to hear what they gotta say. I just keep going, because I never really. I don't know. I just try not to listen because I always feel like they don't have place on.
So when you're coming off the 30-1 and everybody's like, thank you, I had that ticket. They're all lying, but so
yeah,
how about then? You pay attention then?
I mean, I just know. Like sometimes you hear it. Like I might hear a first one like one that's bad. I'm like, oh, they're gonna say some crazy stuff, so I just tend to ignore it. But when I come back, and it's like, yeah, like cheers and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, they cool, and I just might look over then, and I'm like, just like, like not really say anything, but I just like way back, but.
So this weekend, starting tomorrow, looks like you got 7 races tomorrow, 5 races, then the next day, 7 again at Aqueduct. Then you're off to Laurel on a stakes race on Baby Man. So any horses in there that you've looked at right now that you say, like you've circled and you're like, this one I really think I have the best shot to win on?
I mean, like, what do you like look at? I mean, right now I'm just looking. It seems like the horses that are in it. I mean, I haven't really paid, like I haven't really, looked too much into the horses right now. I mean, it's like it's Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I got more horses to ride, the next few days. So,
well, you got 7 tomorrow. Anyone that stands out to you tomorrow?
It's always. I mean, I know the good people I ride for, but it's always nice to be on of course, Patricia Farrow, like Jeffrey Englehart. They always put me on some nice horses. So, the ones I ride for them, I look forward to.
So someone asked the question: does jockey get paid more if they take a mount for Ness or Michael Pino, or is it all the same?
It doesn't matter who you ride for; it's all the same price. It's all the same. Yeah, they're all trainers. They all are equal. Doesn't matter who wins, who doesn't win. Everybody, it's the same price.
It's more based on the track. Obviously, NYRA pays a little bit different than Parks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's just different. Different like maybe percentages or whatever. But yeah, relatively.
So since you're part of the younger generation, we'll ask you this question: when you're with friends and stuff, and you tell them you're a jockey, what kind of reaction do you get?
I mean, most of my friends are like, they know what I do. They always just know. So I mean, no, they just always people that know me, know what I did. I always like, because I've always, just said I was gonna be a jockey. Growing up in school, I wasn't the best, student in high school because I always was just saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a jockey. I'm gonna be a jockey."
I can't blame you for that. Me in high school didn't get along very well either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rich and I both, wish we had something better to fall back to, right?
Well, I mean, I had different plans. That's all, and they just didn't work the way I wanted them to work. I didn't end up doing what I wanted to do, so I ended up doing what I wanted to do in the end. After all, that's the way it works, man. Right? You do what you got to do to get by.
Exactly. Yeah.
So where do you see yourself in like 5 years? Like if things were to go exactly the way you want them to go, where would you end up in 5 years?
Just be able to stay here and be able to get more business, get better, just get better, keep learning, eventually just, just be at a good level, you know, just be where I can be in New York, you know, and if I, you know, maybe, you know, even, you know, like Kentucky, you know, just like the big places, you know, just be a part of it, you know, like the top level. I mean, I'm in New York. I mean, I got the opportunity, so I'm gonna hopefully just be able to give
Big races, big tracks, big money, right?
him there.
That's the order right there. Sean, anything else?
Well, I'll ask one more question. Have you ever, I'm sure you have because it happens to everybody. Have you ever been in like the wrong spot of the track where you really make one jockey mad? And how was that confrontation?
I mean, I mean, it just depends on the intention. The intention is what really matters. Jockeys can tell other jockeys' intention. Even some you just know. And if intentions weren't super, you know, like crazy bad, you know, most guys, you know, they might just, you know, stay quiet, you know.
So
And
there
you
was
know,
a
but
disqualification yesterday at Parks with Paco Lopez, where the 3-horse got disqualified. I forget what race it was in, but it looked like the one. Are you familiar with that race, or
which one? I'd have to watch.
I don't remember what race it was. So, but anyway, he got disqualified. We were having a conversation about that. I thought it was one of the worst disqualifications I've ever seen because a horse came out in. So maybe I can kind of, without you seeing that race. So, horse to your inside bumps you, right? So he comes in because when the gates open up, I mean, the horses don't always go straight out. Some of them go a little right, some go a little left, and sometimes they
Oh,
glide.
okay. Wait, are you saying the horse they qualifying because of the guy he came out of the gate and bumped somebody?
So what happened was the 1-horse came out of the gate and went into the 2-horse, and he was
Okay.
riding the 3-horse. And then the 2-horse came into him, and you can see he's trying to pull his horse off of the 2, right? So, and when he takes his horse off of the 2-horse to kind of straighten back out again, his horse then goes maybe a lane and a half over because he's reacting to the 2 hitting him, and then the 4 has to check up, right? So when you're riding and like you get bumped from the side, do you guys do course corrections or do you just kind of try to let it play out? But
I mean, honestly, the best thing you could do coming out of the gates is you gotta let your horse get a few strides before you really grab him, you know, because they're coming out of there so fast that if you know kind of just snatch them, you might like you might mess them up, you know, mess up the action, you know, might even put you in the worst spot, you know, being behind you horses because you broke a bit slow, but you just try to like get a few strides out and hope maybe just make sure you get them standing right so they can break straight, you know, because most horses break in or out sometimes because they're not standing right, and some might just have that habit, you know, maybe going in or out, but you just kind of you just try your best to get them standing right, and you come out, kind of helping them out of there, and if they're standing right, it'll go straight, and if they're not, you might go in or out, but you might get one or two, and then once they got their head down, they got their feet together, you correct them, and you just try your best to straighten them out after that.
So, a quick question for you. Sean brought it up that you guys. So I'm sure the older, more experienced veteran jockeys, if something's wrong, because they have established themselves. If something, they probably don't have a difficult time expressing themselves if they're upset with you or something. But you being a younger guy, kind of feeling out where you go, even when do you find it's kind of difficult to be like, yo, Irad, I didn't really like what you did because he's Irad?
Kind of, because sometimes you might think it's something like, as a new rider, you might think it's something like, whoa, like something more serious, I might have just been in a bad spot, and I just gotta make sure, I'm not, like that, maybe just work this sometimes, I mean, like I said, most of the guys over there, they ride clean, and normally there's not many confrontations. I put.
So if you have an issue, it's not you don't have a problem saying can you kind of explain what you did to me there so I understand?
Yeah, sometimes you might say that. Like if you know the guy, or like what happened here was, or but yeah, they explain whatever, but it's nothing ever anything crazy.
Because
did you ever?
Irad get a little mad at Paco before. Anyway,
Oh
go
yeah,
ahead.
Paco was that day. Top Good Tommy he got when he got punched in the face.
What happened again?
Paco was on that horse Top Gun Tommy that day. It was just a race,
Oh,
and
Uh,
yeah, and yeah, because yeah, I guess yeah, I remember that day. I guess I Paco said I cut in front of him. I don't know.
it's crazy because we've had a lot of people say about Paco on the show about how he rides and stuff.
Yeah,
And it's funny when he's coming off the track. I was at PA Derby Day, and Paco was the nicest off the track. Paco was the nicest guy ever. Like he was really nice, but on the track he is. So did you ever experience that too when you first started? Did you ever feel somebody trying to intimidate you?
I mean, yeah, I mean, guys probably they just gotta let them you just gotta try to ride with confidence make them let them know that you that that you belong there that you're trying that you're there to stay that you just you just ride your race you try to you don't let it get to you, you don't pay it no mind eventually and sometimes they might put you in situations where they might they they kind of test you a little bit and you gotta defend yourself a bit. That's all.
Were
just let
you in
them.
the race today, or did you see? I know there was a bad accident today, but it appears all horses were okay, and it appears all jockeys
Yeah,
are okay.
yeah, I heard Jaron Barbosa was okay. He had posted on Instagram that he was okay, which I'm glad to hear. But I have to check on my boy, Eduardo Ignacio, and yeah, how he's doing because he also fell. And I know Anthony Nunez and Gerardo Milan, they're okay. They went back to the jockeys room. Everybody was good, but and Barbosa, I hear he's good too. I think I'm not sure what exactly happened to him, but he's he just got a little banged up, nothing too crazy. And like I said, I gotta hear what about Ignacio. I seen him, actually get up, but I know he was taken to the hospital as well. But everybody else and all the horses were fine. It wasn't any breakdown accident. It was just guys being in, just bad spots, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, it happened.
Were you
One
in
more.
that race, or
Oh yeah, I was in that race. I was all the way in the back. Uh, 'cause, uh, I was in the back, and my filly actually was able to, to jump over the one horse that had stumbled because I got they maybe would have fallen like the two or the three pass, and I was just able to take my filly down real close to the road and actually like just miss them and just having to jump over their feet. My filly was able to just jump over their feet, and we were good.
So Ocho Run says the last I hear before I left the room was one broke both collarbones, and
And
then you have a high buy here saying you got to shout him out.
he said, shout me up, cuz. Hey, what up, cuz? Shout out. Hi, bye.
And I've got one more question for you here from Barry. Says on race day, if if a trainer makes a jockey switch, do you still get compensated, or is that kind of just money out the window?
It's very comfortable. I mean, like on a day, yeah, I'm pretty sure you gotta pay like yeah, double. Like pay you and the guy.
Cool. Any other questions, Sean? Any shout outs for
oh,
you?
yeah, no shout outs for me. I guess the only other question I have is we brought up the gate. Is the inside the gate as scary as it looks when you're getting in there to start the race?
No, the gate's cool. I always like the gate. It's a cool thing, and it's a good thing.
So speaking of the gate, one other quick thing: Golden Pal in the Breeders' Cup, the big, the controversy over the handler holding the reins a little bit too long.
I didn't
Has
even
that
see.
ever happened to you? And then, like, if it does happen to you, does the guy apologize or the person there apologize to you the next time around, or does you just let them know, hey man, you got to let go a little faster?
Most of the time, the guys that I don't know. I can't even speak on. I didn't even see that. Honestly, I noticed Golden Pro had been breaking that well since the last start in Saratoga. If you guys seen that race, he broke slow that time as well. So I mean, I think it's just maybe I don't know something like Golden Pro just not breaking that fast as he did. But sometimes the handlers it's not that they're holding you. Sometimes they have to grab their horse and sometimes they push and move your horses to make sure they're standing okay. And sometimes they might be moving, and they might be trying to hold them straight, and them trying to hold it straight, they might seem like they're holding it, but really you just, might have reacted a bit slow and let you go a bit late. But I mean, in my experience, I can't really say for everybody.
I feel like it's one of those thankless jobs. You don't know they're even there until they screw up, right?
Hey, I mean, no, definitely not. Those guys, they do a lot. Those guys definitely help you out a lot. Well, we're grateful to have them. And I mean, I don't know. People could have arguments from both. Like people over in England, they don't even have the guys in there standing themselves. But here, I'm glad to have a guy in there with me. To get my horse straight and stuff like that. So.
Good. That's it sounds to me. I would probably prefer to have somebody in there, like you said, Sean. That's a thankless job because the only time anybody's going to know you're in there is when something goes wrong. Outside of that, it's not at all, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's all I got. Jose, I appreciate you coming on. Finally was able to get you on. And just remember where your first interview, when you start becoming a 25% jockey and a grade 1 winner and all that, just remember, don't forget about us at Horse Racing Today.
So when you win the Kentucky Derby the first time, we have to be the first interview. Deal?
And maybe, hopefully one day, that's everybody's dream.
I mean, you keep winning the way you're going to win. You're going to get rides. You get rides, like Denzel Washington says. You spend enough time in a barbershop, eventually you get a haircut.
Yeah, well,
all right, thanks for joining us tonight, Jose. Good luck tomorrow throughout the weekend and all your mounts. Man, you got a lot of them, so hopefully you win a bunch of them.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Jose.
All right, Sean, another fun young man right there. So definitely like a meteoric rise, right?
Yeah.
From 8 million in your first year, 7 million. I mean, that's just, he's got to be like eclipse winning. Between him and Kylie, those two are young, and it looks like horse racing's in good hands.
Yeah, and another one that's very calm, as you can see. Any questions we ask or any situation has been calm, and I'll also say very humble. He was humble on here. Even when I reached out to him, he was very humble. When I finally got his number, and I was like, "Oh man, I've been trying to reach you." And he's like, "Really? Like me? You're really me?" And I'm like, "Yes." So he doesn't even realize how good he is yet. So. He's got a bright.
I mean, when he looks at his bank account, man, he knows. There's no question.
Yeah, well, that bank account's going to continue to grow too. So,
I wonder if he needs a financial advisor. Anyway, I'm sure that his team is taking good care of that. Hopefully, anyway. So, what do we? Oh, first of all, I want to apologize for yesterday. We couldn't come live. We just couldn't connect. We did work out those issues earlier today, so we'll have Aaron on a little bit later on, I think in the middle of December, about a month from now. And then we won't have any issues on that. Who do we have tomorrow, Sean?
We have Adam Bowman, another Parks jockey. He just ran his first grade 1 at PA Derby Day, and I met him at PA Derby Day. Really nice guy, so we'll find out more. He's been riding for a little while now. I don't know exactly, probably 10, 15 years, so should be another great interview.
I'm looking forward to it. It's Parks Week. And then any idea who's on next week? As I continue to slug along for the 3rd week in a row.
Yeah, I do have that schedule. So next week is more almost like Turf Paradise week because Monday we have the announcer on, Craig Praddock. We've had him on before. He's a great interview. Then we go back to NYRA. Tuesday we have Kendrick Carmouchning, who we met at Saratoga.
Yes, it was an interesting conversation for sure.
Yeah. And then Wednesday we have CC Perkinson. We go back to Turf Paradise, and we've had her on before too. So it's a returning guest that, great lineup of people. So
little hint, when you're looking at the Turf Paradise cards and CC has a horse on there, Sean, if she has on what color pants, you know she's going to win.
Red.
That's right. If there's any other color, she's not going to win. So pay attention to the pants, and we'll talk to her about that to make sure that she's got a closet full of red pants for the upcoming Turf Paradise meet. Tomorrow we'll be getting together, Charles and I, again in the morning at 12 o'clock Eastern. We'll cover Churchill Downs tomorrow, I think. Yes. And then on Thursday, Charles and I will tackle Aqueduct. On Friday, Tom and I will, I think, doing Shea Tin. And then on Saturday, we're going to launch a new Saturday show, just like the Monday through Thursday shows. This Saturday is going to be Terry and I. We're going to do Churchill Downs. And then the following Saturday, he doesn't know this yet, but it'll be Charles. So me and Terry and me and Charles will alternate from week to week. so that we have a great Saturday show for you as well. Sunday, we're going to be like Chick-fil-A. We're going to be closed. So that's the way that works. All right, Sean, anything else? Hey, thank you, Ocho Ron. We appreciate that, man. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. Another way you can kind of help us out a little bit, give us the thumbs up on Facebook and on YouTube. We appreciate that. And to go over to the picks by the professor, excuse me, if you like college basketball season's just getting started, so he'll have picks there every single night. So link in the description below. I think that wraps everything up and takes us wire to wire on this Tuesday, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only other thing I'd say is, like the rest of everybody, I'm a little disappointed with the whole Flightline thing.
Retiring?
Yeah, retiring. Unfortunately, that's our way to bring more people in, and by the time people see them, we retire them, and it's just unfortunate.
Well, I think the best thing that can happen, Flightline notwithstanding, is that the best thing for horse racing always every year is that the horse that wins the Kentucky Derby also wins the Preakness and has a shot at the Triple Crown going into the Belmont Stakes. So let's all hope in 2023 that, much like what's going to happen here at Horse, we got some big plans for 2023. So hopefully they all come to fruition. You're going to want to stick around. We're going to have a lot of great content, some new stuff in 2023 that we're looking forward to doing, sharing with you. So make sure if you haven't told your friends about us, you do, because we're going to hopefully put some stuff up on there you really enjoy.
And another thing, you brought up Kentucky Derby. I wanted to bring this up too. Despite the setback with Tyler's Tribe, he will be on the Kentucky Derby trail as well. So that's something to root for too, is hopefully, Tyler's Tribe and Kylie Jordan can get in a Kentucky Derby. And what a thrill would that be for her to already be running in a Kentucky Derby. As long as, they say they're very loyal. So as long as
Frankie Pennington, when is he coming on, Sean?
Frankie Pennington, a couple weeks. Frankie Pennington's the last day of the month, Wednesday, November 30th, Frankie Pennington.
Perfect. So we'll see Frankie then. Charles, am I ready for tomorrow? Of course I'm ready for tomorrow, Charles. The question is, are you? All right, Sean, that wraps us up for Tuesday. We hope everybody had a fantastic day until we get together again tomorrow, where I kick Charles's beep Churchill Downs. We hope that no matter what you do, it ends up in the
winner circle.
Have a fantastic Tuesday night.